the Great British Allotment. Is there anything more British? I'm not entirely sure there is. I used to have one, and they're fabulous things to have, but do take a lot of work. And when my back got broken a few years ago, I just couldn't do it anymore, so it was time to give it up, sadly. But I do have allotment envy these days, because I've lost a lot of weight, my back's better, and I look at this and I think, oh, it'd be nice to have another allotment. But never mind. Some lovely old buildings here though. This is the remains of a building where once, amazingly, there was a zoo. I will tell you the story of the Hazlemere Zoo. You see, once upon a time, all of this was farmland, and there were other meadows beyond here. And it's hard to believe, looking at this now, that not so very long ago, you could come here and see lions and bears and tigers and apes and monkeys and all sorts. Because there was a kind of zoo here. Now, the first thing to say is it wasn't an actual zoo. It was an animal trader. But he set up his storage area here, and people would pay to come and see the animals. This is the story of the World's Zoological Trading Co. Limited, which was based at Hazlemere Park. The guy behind it was a big game hunter called Robert Leadbetter, who once claimed it could get you any animal or bird, but they didn't come cheap. Just look at some of these prices. Elephants, £800. Blue wildebeest, £100, £115 or £125. A full-grown lion, £250. These were extraordinary prices for the time. It's quite a list, isn't it? To put some of those prices into perspective, as I said, an elephant would have cost you £800. The price of an average house around the same time that this catalogue was published was around £620. So we're talking about something that cost more than a house, significantly more than the price of a house. You could have bought the Bank of England building in central London for £110,000 at this time. So, you know, this was not small pennies that people were spending on these animals. There is one famous incident concerned with the zoo which is worth mentioning, and that was a sort of escaped lion. Because what had happened is a keeper had unfortunately forgotten to lock the door of the lion's cage properly, and the lion came patrolling out, which meant the keeper did a runner. He was so terrified. But the lion was also terrified and didn't particularly want to leave its quarters, particularly when it saw some of the other animals there, like tigers and bears and things like that. And eventually, as the news report at the time describes it, the next minute, apparently distressed and depressed by the noisy anger of the tigers, the lion walked slowly back until, on finding his passage barred by his own door, he turned to the right and re-entered his cage. At least 3/4 of his body had entered when once more he paused, but the keeper and another man darted up the corridor, flung their weight against the door, and so shoved in the remainder of the brute's anatomy. And this time, the padlock was not forgotten. An extraordinary story, an escaped lion 5 minutes from where I live in Buckinghamshire. So, there you go, the story of the Hazlemere Zoo and the story of the escaped lion. I hope you found it of some interest. Back to the normal stuff next video. Doodle pip.